Howdy, howdy, and welcome to another wonderful trash take. I haven't made one of these in a while, but I feel like the world's on fire now, and when everyone needs Asmongold, he is no longer here. If y'all haven't been paying attention to the news, recently there was a woman that was brutally murdered on a bus in North Carolina. I think Charlottesville specifically. I don't remember the town, but it was pretty brutal murder. The video is all over Twitter if you want to see it. It's extremely bad. Basically, this 23-year-old Ukrainian war survivor made it out of a literal war zone alive, but then died in the American public transportation system. And she, after it looks like working a job at a pizzeria, sat down on the bus and was immediately basically stabbed in the neck facing downward by some crazed homeless man behind her, who had been previously convicted 14 times. And retarded Democrats are saying that we need more police force and better police training. But tell me this, if he's already been convicted and arrested, that means the police have done their job. That means the DAs and the judges who are being soft on crime haven't let him go. And that makes me really, really hate what's happening in modern America. There's a double standard when it comes to crime. There's a ton of preventable crime that's just basically ignored. You have illegal immigrants that are in this country that shouldn't be here, killing legal citizens. If they weren't here in the first place, those people would still be alive. Arguably, that is preventable. A crazy schizophrenic homeless man, and yes, he does have schizophrenia according to every article I can see that's reporting about his previous convictions, who served time in jail for armed robbery and had 14 convictions, was allowed to be out on the streets until he brutally murdered someone, and now presumably he's going to be put down like an animal because, let's be honest, he should have never been out on the streets. Like, it's crazy how these people have so many mental illnesses and so many crimes under their belt, and they're not immediately put into a mental institute or forever taken into prison. Like, this is autistic. The other double point of this murder is the news was very, very quiet, and everyone was pointing it out on Twitter saying, hey, where's MSNBC? Where's CNN? Where's ABC? Where's all these major news channels? How come they're not reporting on this? And technically, it's a lie by omission is what you consider it. So there's multiple ways to control propaganda. Stories that are brought into the front limelight that aren't really that important and people are freaking out about them versus stories that should be extremely brought up, but but it doesn't help your narrative, so they're kind of ignored. It's kind of like a recap on Gamergate where basically one journalist was paying other journalists to say this shit was good and they were agreeing to all report on it. It's the same sort of thing. All the major news networks are sort of not saying anything on this at all, and they're waiting and not doing it. It's kind of weird to put on my schizophrenic hat, but it seems like it's all very connected. I don't really know how to say a bunch of major leftist news orgs are deciding not to report on the story of a girl getting brutally murdered by a crazed homeless man who then says, I got that white woman. Like, I don't want to make it about race. And to be fair, he is a crazed schizophrenic homeless man, so to make it about race is kind of stupid in my opinion. But the fact that he is a crazed schizophrenic homeless man who isn't permanently in jail makes me question the judges who are in charge of him. If you're a doctor and you fuck up a surgery and you kill someone, you can go to jail. If you're an engineer and you fuck up a building and it collapses and kill people, you can go to jail. If you're a judge and you let off a crazed, drug-addled homeless man who suffers from schizophrenia on a lighter sentence, well, that's just your moral empathy, showing you're a better moral human being, clearly sweaty, until he brutally murders an innocent person, you know. He deserves another chance. He deserves his 15th chance, right? He deserves a 15th chance. He's really, really changed his ways by becoming more schizophrenic and more mentally unstable. And it could be the prison system that caused it. I don't give a fuck. At this point, I don't care. He should have been in jail for a long time. And there's a few interesting things that are floating around Twitter. I haven't really fact-checked them, but it's something crazy statistic. Like, I think it's like 75% of all convictions in America are committed by people with more than 3 convictions. So you could basically just do a 3 strikes and you're out game, and you would drop crime in America by 75%. You would drop convictions per se. There's a little bit of a difference between convictions and committing a crime. You can commit a crime and they convince a jury you're innocent. Obviously, you didn't get a conviction. If you commit a crime and a jury finds you guilty, you're convicted. That's the difference between the two. Not really the point. The point is the crimes are in America. There's a lot of preventable shit, but people here dilly-dally with the terms racism and are too afraid to actually take actions that need to be done to cause a society to be high trust, to cause a society to be homogenous, to where you can trust your neighbor and ride a public transportation without dying. Free public transportation sounds amazing. I think that's one of the better talking points of Democrats. Free public transportation sounds great. It works in cities like Japan, and also in cities like Japan, you go to jail if you take a picture of a woman and she doesn't like it. You have other crimes that are heavily enforced, and that's the difference. America's basically a PvP zone where if you're an illegal immigrant, you get to go to a place called sanctuary cities where they don't even put you in jail for basic shit. You get no bond. That's right. You can go commit as many crimes as you want as long as it's not murder, because it's basically no bond. Armed robbery, go for it. Brutally assaulting someone, go for it. You didn't kill him, so you get out on no bond yet again. There's a lot of retarded laws in places, and I'll be honest, it's Democrats causing these issues. It's Democratic judges and it's Democratic policies. Look at fucking Seattle. Seattle's a goddamn war zone. They literally had the fucking Chaz zone that popped up there in 2020 where it was lawless for like 2 weeks, and then some drug lord with an AK took over, and then a bunch of people died, and then eventually the government sort of came back. And then you had the LA riots a few weeks ago, the new LA riots, not the old LA riots where they pulled a man out of an 18-wheeler and beat him to death in fucking broad daylight. But the new LA riots where LA tried to fuck around and Trump brought the National Guard, so they all found out real quick, if you're going to be burning places down, it better not be a federal building. You can go burn down the city hall. Yeah, fuck them. But you come to the ICE building and try that shit? Buddy. You got people in the National Guard that are 21, they're high on nicotine and Monster Energy drinks, and they're giving an M4 saw fully automatic. Oh yeah, buddy, you ain't going to be fucking with those federal buildings. Go burn down the city all you want. Don't fuck with the federal buildings. And I think that's something that's kind of crazy, that Trump is showing that crime in America doesn't have to be this way, that there's a lot of crime that's being allowed due to these bleeding heart judges and these bleeding heart liberals that simply ignore common sense to fulfill some higher want or desire to be seen as a good person or to be what they think a good person is, and always allow these people another chance when they fucking don't deserve it. You gave him another chance at life, 14-time convictions, and now you just took away a young girl's life. How's that fair? It's not. It's basically it. There's also a little bit of some controversy surrounding this case too, simply because the judge is apparently married to a lesbian. Not that she's lesbian. But apparently, like a director of a mental reinstitution or rehabilitation facility. So it's kind of like the judge is soft on crime to allow for rehabilitation to take place. So people are thinking it's like she uses her power in the court to tell people, all right, less crime, less sentence, and also you're going to rehabilitate out this facility that my lesbian lover owns. It's kind of what the current conspiracy is. There's not really a lot of strings connecting it yet, but I think it's a decent framework to where it should probably be looked at to see if any cases this judge presided over that the people that were underneath the people she saw in her court were required to do rehabilitation as part of their sentencing, and if so, did they go to that place? I think that would be worth investigating because that's obviously a conflict of interest immediately off the get-go. And judges are supposed to recuse themselves, or judges are supposed to step down for a conflict of interest, but I wonder how that would work if the conflict of interest is only with sentencing, if it's not from the get-go of the crime. Normally conflict of interest if you know someone, that type of deal. I don't really know. I'll let Twitter arguments figure it out, but this has been blown up on social media. Leftists have been ignoring it, and now they're saying it's MAGA fueling a race war. When, like I was saying earlier, the call to race war is kind of retarded considering the fact that he literally says, got that white girl twice when walking away after brutally stabbing her in the throat. And then she sort of just sits there and she bleeds out and no one tries to render her aid. No one tries to help her. One guy gets up and runs to get the fuck out of there. He just leaves her. Like everyone, terrible human beings. You have, Daniel Penny, who stops a homeless man threatening to kill people on the subway, and he gets almost charged for 15 years for murder. And now this is the exact opposite. No one steps in. No one stops this homeless man. No one helps this lady. Yeah, the footage is pretty gruesome. Trump has come out to speak about this, and it's disturbing. If this doesn't cause major crime reform and people to actually be put in jail and mental institutes to open back up to take these people off the street, it needs to be. There are too many drug-addled, crazed, homeless people out here in America for it to be worth it to go to any major cities. And you can call me a coward if you want. I just am risk averse. I don't really drink. I don't really gamble. I don't like taking a lot of big risks. I view that as people who don't understand statistics and being retarded. I'm not trying to play the numbers game and end up as a victim just because I decided to take public transportation. This is Fox News, like I said. Fox is a right-leaning news in America, so fair warning, you're going to get some funny shit on here.
A lunatic just got up and started. It's right on the tape. Not really watchable because it's so horrible.
I haven't seen Trump in a hot second.
Just viciously stabbed. She's just sitting there. So they're evil people. We have to be able to handle that. If we don't handle that, we don't have a country.
Yeah. If basic laws aren't enforced to take people like this that are a high fucking risk off the streets, then I genuinely don't know why we even bothered to say this is a society. This is basically a meat grinder where you got to be hoping that you're not going into tonight's stew type of shit.
President Trump on that brutal killing in Charlotte, North Carolina, that is igniting outrage. Of course, that was
all right, I think I fixed my
just
audio.
A short time ago from his remarks at the Religious Liberty event. The silence from the liberal media and Democrats is actually heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is. It is. This should be an easy win for everyone to say crime is getting out of hand in America. That's why Trump mobilizing the National Guard I actually viewed as a good thing. Because what happens is you have these people who say crime needs to stop, but you can't go into areas with high crime because that's racist. And so basically you treat normal people like criminals just because they're poor, they're in high crime areas. Like, it becomes this thing of where you're not a criminal, but you live in a poor area where everyone around you is treated like a criminal because there are criminals among you, and the police stop coming there, and everything around you gets worse. Go look at fucking liquor stores in Chicago. They're heavily fucking armored. It's like walking into South America. Like, it's fucking wild. They basically live in a prison system on the daily because they're poor. They've done nothing wrong. They've committed no crimes, but they're treated just like a criminal like everyone else because the people in power refuse to handle the crime. So that's the inevitable outcome. Like, it's wild to me. The racism of low expectations needs to end in America.
Don't they care that their soft on crime policies are getting people killed?
No, because they're bleeding heart liberals, and they'll never actually think about what their actions are causing realistically. They'll only think about what they want their actions to do. They're not able enough to actually sit down and articulate, okay, maybe allowing the 14 conviction drug crazed homeless man with schizophrenia back on the streets is a good idea. Maybe he needs to finally go to jail. Nope. You're right. We can't do that. That's racist.
Now, I want to warn you as I narrate this, it's disturbing. We'll stop at the point right before the murder, but you'll know what's happening. Even the president described this. The shocking surveillance video shows a Ukrainian refugee brutally stabbed to death on a city train.
And I just want to point out, CNN blurs this guy's face for some odd reason.
Last month. There's no way she sees this coming.
Yeah.
You see the people on the other side of the train or focused on their phones or looking away. He takes that moment and
I want to be honest, this is probably a man versus woman thing, and I've talked about it with some of my friends and my guy friends that aren't retarded, that are basically either libertarian or conservative. All are the same thing of you're constantly watching everyone around you because you don't know if there's a fucking crazy ass motherfucker out there. That's basic survival instinct. I do it. All my guy friends do it. And none of my women friends do it. And I think that says a lot about men being protectors in society, but that's anecdotal bias. I'm constantly looking out for some crazed drug addict. I don't know. The way I was raised with my dad, he warned me that we live in a nice place, but there are evil people, and you need to be prepared at any point in time, or you at least need to be aware of what's going on so you don't become a victim. I'm not saying you need to carry a gun and shoot everybody. I'm saying you need to watch your surroundings. And honestly, if you have to have your guard up on a public transportation, that seems like a shitty way to live.
kills her. It happened just before 10 p.m. on Friday, August 22nd. 23-year-old Irina Zarutsky got on that train, and minutes later, an alleged homeless ex-convict with more than a dozen arrests stabbed her, killed her.
He has more than a dozen arrests. He has 14 convictions. That means he's been arrested and then charged with a crime. Not just arrested. You can be arrested for something and then released if they can't build a good enough case, or the DA decides, you know what, we don't have enough evidence. You'll be released. That's how the American crime system works.
It happened so fast that other passengers really didn't notice until it was too late.
He literally stabs her and then is walking around the bus with the bloody knife dripping everywhere, mumbling to himself about how he got that white chick.
And the suspect then walks to the other end of the car, blood dripping both from the knife in his hand and his bloody footprints, and kind of stands and he waits to see if he can get off that train, and then he starts walking around the other members of the people inside that locked car. He's near them. Lord only knows what he could have done. Finally,
oh, I thought this was a bus. Was it actually a train? I thought it was a bus.
he got off at the next stop. Police identified 35-year-old DeCarlos Brown as that suspect. He has a lengthy criminal history.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Where's his 14th?
Are we shocked? Including 14 arrests on charges like armed robbery, assault, and making threats.
His most recent one was a conviction for false 911 calls because he was schizophrenic and said that there's man-made material inside me controlling my body, forcing me to eat and talk and shit like that. And he basically got arrested for misusing the 911 system for that, which is a very big sign that he probably needs to be checked into a mental institute because this guy is fucking crazy. But he was released on a no bail bond. That's basically where the judge says, you know what? I like you. You get to go home.
The city's Democratic mayor is facing backlash for thanking media partners. We're supposed to act independently.
Yeah, I want to thank our media partners and community members who have chosen not to repost or share the footage out of respect for the family. I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think they don't want you reposting the footage, and this was what everyone's saying. The news isn't really covering it, which is kind of weird because she's saying she's working with her media partners to make sure it gives a weird feeling that this is purposefully being done. It's orchestrated for why the news isn't covering this. It shows credible footage that shows America needs major crime reform, and Democrats don't want you seeing this on Twitter. They don't want you to see this happen. They don't want you to know that their soft crime policies are allowing schizophrenic men with 14 convictions out on the street with no bail bonds. Are you fucking kidding me?
Well, they're not journalists, whoever those partners are. And then she thanks community members who have, quote unquote, chosen not to repost or share the footage out of respect for Irina's family.
Fucking removed.
Cheryl, this is more than heartbreaking. It's disgusting. And we want more of that footage. We don't own it. But as you can tell, I've watched it all. It's about 8 minutes long.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking bad. I'm going to pull up another video. So, like I was saying earlier, there's currently a narrative that this is being used by MAGA extremists to push a narrative of, I don't really know. I genuinely don't understand. But Charlie Kirk got called out on CNN for basically perpetuating racism, making this a race issue, when this guy clearly said, I got that white woman. So I wanted to watch that.
Ever become national news. This one's garnered attention for a couple of reasons. Number one, first and foremost, the recent release of that gruesome video. Second, the energy from
Yes, because the video is so fucking feral that it tells you this person is not like you or me. They are an animal. They don't have basic human intrinsic morality. They should have never been allowed back on the street. Any psychiatrist, any judge, any person in this and the prison system and judicial system should have seen that this is not a person. This is someone who is extremely mentally unwell. And instead of getting them actual help and taking them off the streets to make sure normal people are protected, he was let back on the streets.
Pro-Trump activists. They picked up on this video from local news and ran with it. It's a little bit like the times when civil rights groups have raised attention about police-involved shootings. In this case, it is Trump-aligned influencers who are posting up a storm about this case on social media. Really, over the weekend, Elon Musk, Charlie Kirk, other Trump-aligned figures succeeded in making this senseless death a symbol of big city crime. We heard President Trump asked about it yesterday when he was heading home from New York City. He didn't seem to know much about it. He said he would get briefed, and then today Trump did know all about it. That's exactly what has happened here.
Well, yes, it is. So this does directly conflict with all the big city liberal bleeding heart policies that say we need to be as soft on crime as humanly possible. Criminals are people too. And then you see it's a 14 times convicted felon brutally murder a woman on a subway. This is the people they're being soft on crime on. This is an exact effect of what their laws. Like, what are we talking about? This is why people are mad.
This story has trickled up from...
And you're mad because Trump's picking it up? That makes no sense. Trump could solve fucking cancer and these people would be saying, holy shit, guys. You know what? You're denying human evolution. You're denying God's choice to take you off this planet. They'd become religious if Trump said, you know what? I don't really believe in God anymore. Like, that's how crazy this shit is.
News to social media and now to the president's attention. And it's being used, as you said, Brianna, as a political symbol, with MAGA media calling for more forceful punishments and more incarceration. I have to say, some of the replies to Musk, some of the comments around this story are baldly racist.
Yes! Because the dude said, I got the white girl. No wonder they're racist. People literally see this guy, a crazed, drug-fueled homeless man. I keep saying drug-fueled, don't actually know about the drugs. He's a schizophrenic homeless man who brutally murders a woman that's white, and he's black. And then he immediately says, I got that white woman, while he's been sitting there surrounded by a bunch of black people. This definitely seems like a hate crime. You could definitely make a good argument here. But to act like you're so confused on why people are making that argument is fucking hilarious. It's completely disingenuous.
Stoking fear of African Americans because this man attacked a white woman. The open racism.
It's not stoking fear against African Americans. It's stoking fear against the crazed homeless population that basically is allowed to roam the streets like it's a fucking PvP server till they finally decide to kill someone. Doesn't matter how many convictions they have. They're still allowed to go back on the street with no bail bonds. They should be in prison.
On sites like X today, it's eye-popping. But there are also legitimate questions about this so-called career criminal, someone who had been a repeat offender. And those questions, I hope they're not lost amid all of the cesspool kind of...
Do you notice how he spends a whole, this is a minute and a half, he spends a whole minute and a half basically talking about this? He spends 5 seconds, the last 5 seconds bring up how he's a career criminal, and spends the rest of the time bashing it for being a Trump-fueled campaign talking point. And he hopes that the good part doesn't get lost. My brother in Christ, you are the problem. You just spent the majority of your time complaining that Trump's talking about this, opposed to facing the reality that this is a 14 times convicted person who should have never been allowed back out on the street. And you're worried that this might hurt some people's feelings? This is going to make more people racist, motherfucker. What are we talking about here? If the roles were completely reversed, everyone would be calling this a hate crime immediately. What is this? This isn't even a question. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt because he's a fucking schizophrenic homeless man. Charlie Kirk responded to this, though. CNN is mad that I posted about the murder of Irion Zarkutska. I'm terrible with Ukrainian. By a black man with a rap sheet a mile long who was free despite 14 prior arrests, 14 prior convictions. Technically, an arrest doesn't always lead to a conviction. This is a conviction. There's a difference. Mainstream media should apologize for refusing to report on jobs in the story and stop blaming us for doing their jobs. True. People are then pointing up the fact of how many AP articles there are about George Floyd versus how many AP articles there are about this lady. So they basically just did a word search and they specifically searched for every time George Floyd was mentioned. So anyone with the last name Floyd was also included in that. And then obviously this lady, her first and last name, and anytime anyone else used in, basically there was nothing on the AP News website. And people are using that as an example as the news just straight up does not care about this. This was a major trending news story on Twitter for 3 days. That's a 4. For 3 days before it finally picked up by leftist news, before they couldn't ignore it anymore because it showed how fucking biased they were. And then apparently Fox actually admitted this was about race too. Let's want to see what Fox says. Fox actually says that why is the media so quiet about this?
Now, why would that be? Why would one story demand 100 articles and another story 0 articles? And it's because the media is more interested in the all capitals story, the narrative, than the facts or the truth. Take a look at the difference here. I want to show you the actual truth.
Holy shit, they're actually posting the crime statistics? Bro, it used to be called racist, despite, if you quote the old FBI statistics, despite making a blank percent of the population blank couldn't commit 100% of the crime, used to get called racist on Twitter for that. That shit cracked me up. It's an actual crime statistic. If you look at per capita, the most basic understanding of statistics, you can compare unlike-minded things together. That's how this works. It allows you to make a broad overall example based on current available data to see and extrapolate where there might be issues in society. But people call statistics racist, so you don't ever get that far.
When it comes to crime, the story
white on black,
is about
117,000.
Race. Take a look at the black on white crimes. 385,000.
Move your big fucking head out of the way. Oh, that's me.
The white on black crimes.
This is what I want to see. 117 white on black versus black on white. So basically, you're more likely to have a crime committed against you. And crime incident here probably means crime reported, maybe not served in jail. Bureau of Justice statistics, I'd be curious to see. You also have an interesting thing, too, that's currently happening where a bunch of people are finding out that people's races are being put down wrong when they go to jail. It's another one of those small things. I don't really know how much it affects statistics like this, but people that are like being arrested for DUI and it's like says they're white and his name's like Jose, and he looks like the most generic Mexican man you could imagine, and his race is white. Like, that's the kind of shit that you see. But see, Fox News reporting on this, I did not expect. This is an old talking point. This is why people basically become racist. It's because of the crime statistic that you see out there, that there's such a large disparity on who's committing the crimes. And anytime you bring it up, discourse is considered unreasonable and you're immediately dismissed as racist. When you don't even care, you're just bringing up the fact that, hey, there's a disparity here in the numbers. Let's figure out why. You don't get to let's figure out why. You get called racist and bullied off a platform for it.
Just under 118,000. You see the comparative numeric.
And to circle back to this, I did want to point out, there's a reason why Daniel Penny, I didn't call him Perry earlier, Daniel Penny, he's the one who stopped the homeless, crazy black man that was threatening to kill people on a subway. There's about 100 results for this and there's 0 for this. This is 3 days versus this is fucking 6 months old type of shit, and he's already gone to court and found innocent. So I think the time frame does matter. You would have to do a date range that is adequate. So after the incident with Daniel Penny, how long did it take before news articles were writing the stories? It was immediate. The video footage was posted online. All of CNN, All the left-wing news and media was immediately reporting on it. The video footage for Arania Zartutska was put online, and you don't hear anything for 3 days. That's where the actual discrepancy here lies. Why did the news, when Daniel Penny did this, was immediately running with it, calling it a hate crime, versus when this happens, they're dead silent for 3 days? That is a genuine question. You can come to your own conclusion there. I've got my own conclusion. I don't really give a fuck. I think that honestly the news is disingenuous and they are having a bit of a racial bias here and they're afraid to admit it. That's my personal opinion. Now, it's a personal opinion. I'm not going to back it up with science. I'm more using common sense of, I see a pattern. I'm seeing multiple dots on a graph here and it can kind of make some sense. Doesn't mean it's 100% conclusion. And my mind can change based on new data introduced. Now, what is the point in this? The point of this is to show America has a problem with crime. I'm not saying America has a race problem. I'm saying we have a crime problem. Anyone can be a criminal. Doesn't matter their skin color. And in America, we don't take actions to stop easily preventable crime. Illegal immigrants killing citizens, 100% preventable if they weren't allowed to cross the border. A 14-time convicted felon, schizophrenic homeless men, 100% preventable if they're put in a fucking mental institute or jail for life till they're proven mentally sound to be a part of society. There's basic shit that we could do here to improve the quality of life of everyone, and it's not done in the name of politics because no one wants to be the person that's on the other side giving them a win. Trump mobilizing the National Guard in DC, I think was a good idea. I personally believe you should do that everywhere where there is high crime. Give these people a sense of community. Make them feel like they're actually part of America, like they're not in some war-torn country just because they're in a poor neighborhood in a place that the police no longer patrol because they're afraid to be shot at. That is not a way to live. That is not the American dream. That is a low-trust society, and I want to bring back a high-trust society. Thank you very much for making it this far. I know I ramble a lot in this, but this has been driving me fucking crazy. That the fact that this man was allowed to even be back on the street from a bleeding heart liberal judge is fucking crazy and shows there are way bigger problems in America than people currently know. And that's why I want to make this video, because Asmongold's also not active right now, and I know he'd be all over this shit, like, holy fuck. And I do feel like you shouldn't make this about a race thing. I want to repeat that. I know Fox is bringing up race, and I know there are crime statistics to show certain races commit more crimes. I'm not bringing those into this picture. I'm merely saying that other people are. I want to be very clear. I judge people by the content of their character. I judge people by their intelligence, and I find most people in this world are fucking stupid. So, I consider you a retard. I don't really consider race to have anything to do with it. I digress, though. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. I hope you had a wonderful time. If you like the video, feel free to like it, comment down below, or subscribe. I'll probably be making some more videos soon, too. Like I said, there's a lot going on in the world, and there's a lot of funny shit that I might make videos about. Who knows? If you have any suggestions or you want to call me a retard, feel free. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. Until then, later.